While I hate having to pay my taxes, what I hate even more is having to pay somebody else to pay my taxes. The good news is that if you make less than $73,000 a year, adjusted gross income, you're going to qualify for the IRS Free File Program, which is going to allow you to file your federal tax return as well as some state tax returns completely for free. I'm Bradford with the Penny Pinch Guide of Personal Finance, and in this video, I'm going to go over some important updates for filing in 2023, as well as a walkthrough of how to use the IRS's tool in the IRS Free File Program. The first thing when it comes to tax updates for the tax year 2022 and filing in this year 2023 is going to be two dates. The first is going to be when the IRS begins accepting tax returns, and that's going to be Monday, January 23rd, 2023. And then the more important date is going to be the tax deadline, which is going to be Monday, April 18th, 2023. So make sure you get your taxes filed before then to avoid any sort of penalties or fees. And then the other piece of news that I think is going to affect the most amount of people is going to be the changes from the previous tax year to the child tax credit. So when you file taxes for 2021, as long as you met the right requirements and with regards to income, you would be receiving a child tax credit of $3,600 per child. But this year for filing for 2022, the child tax credit is only going to be $2,000. So that's just something to understand as to why you might be getting a smaller return when you file this year as opposed to last year. Now with those updates out of the way, let's actually go over to www.irs.gov to actually use the IRS Free File tool. So here we have the IRS's website, and to get to the IRS Free File Program, you're simply going to come down to this part where it says file your taxes for free and click on it. Now here we can see that the IRS Free File Program is open. It opened up last Friday, January 13th. So here you're going to be presented with two options. First is going to be the guided tax preparation, which is the main purpose of the IRS Free File Program, with the stipulation of AGIs of $73,000 a year or less. Now, important stipulation there is that limit applies to everyone regardless of your tax filing status. So it's $73,000 AGI if you're single, as well as $73,000 AGI if you're married filing jointly. So as opposed to everything else with taxes, when you're doing married filing jointly, where you basically have a double the limit compared to as filing single, this is not one of those instances. So this means you might be making too much money to qualify for this program, in which case you might want to take a look at free fillable forms, where it allows you to e-file your forms, where you basically fill out an online PDF and then you submit it that way. This one is not yet open. Expect for it to be open later up in January. So if you're watching this video at a later date, it probably is already open. I wouldn't recommend doing that one unless you already feel relatively comfortable with filling out the forms yourself. If that is something, an avenue that you want to go down, check out some of our other videos in the description below, where I walk you through step by step and filling out some of those common tax forms that you might expect to file. But if you do have an AGI of less than $73,000 a year, I'd recommend just clicking on this option of using free guided tax preparation. So now we're going to get to this page, and it's going to give you two options. You can either browse all the providers that they have, or you can use the IRS Free File online lookup tool, and that's what I'm going to recommend for this situation. So click on Start Lookup Tool, and here it's going to get some general info about you to help match you with the best program that's going to be able to help you file your taxes for free. So the first one, using an example that I'm going to be using throughout this tax season, I'm going to use married filing jointly, and then I myself am filing these taxes. Select an age, I'm going to be using 40. What country do you live in? United States is going to populate at the top. And then what state do you live in? For this example, I'm going to use Texas. And then did you receive any sort of military pay and have an AGI of less than $73,000 a year? For this example, I'm going to select no, and then hit next. And then estimate your adjusted gross income. So it's going to give you a bunch of different options as to where you received your income from. For this example, I'm just going to be doing pre-tax wages, salary, or tips. For this one, we're going to be using $50,000 for adjusted gross income. You come down here and you can look at adjustments to income that are going to affect your AGI. And these are going to be things like student loan interest deduction, qualified educator expenses, deductions for contribution to an IRA. So that one is going to be contributions to a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k that actually reduce your taxable burden, and things like a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k do not apply. So other things like alimony, penalty for early withdrawal of savings, and then other adjustments. If you have something that should qualify, you should know what that is. But for this one, we're going to say none of those things apply and just hit next. Now it's going to be earned income tax credit. So how many dependents under the age of 19, a little bit older if they are full-time students, do you have? For this example, I'm going to select one. Then based on your inputs, they're going to say, we don't believe you're eligible for the earned income tax credit or EITC. Just do a little bit of research on the IRS, and they explain how to figure out if you do qualify for that or not. It does have certain income thresholds that are going to phase you out as you make more income. So no, we're going to say we're not eligible and then hit next again. And then it's going to be it's going to bring you to the results page. And for this one, it's only going to give you 3 options. It's going to be TaxSlayer, fileyourtaxes.com, and then TaxAct, the IRS Free File Program. So for each of these, it's also going to list out an AGI of who qualifies, what ages qualify. So for this one, with TaxAct, you only qualify if you're between ages 20 and 58. Whereas with like fileyourtaxes.com, you have to be 66 or younger. And then it's going to tell you so all of these, you're going to get a free federal filing, but they're only going to offer some certain state filings. So for this one, it just says free state return for some states if you qualify for a federal return, and you're actually going to have to go over to their website to see whether or not your state filing is actually included for free, or if it's something you're going to have to pay extra. But for there, so let's say you don't want to just look at this and you want to look at what all the providers are that are partnered with the IRS Free File Program, you're going to hit return to main page. And then you're just going to hit browse all. So for this one, it's going to give you all the tax providers that are partnered with the IRS Free File Program. And then you can go through and you can do your own sort of filtering. You can do adjusted gross income, age, whether you have the EITC, active military, country of residence, as well as state of residence. And so it is important to note that it's going to carry over whatever your previous filters are, even though it's not listed here. So if you want to see what all of the providers are that are partnered with the IRS Free File Program, if you've already done the Smart Lookup tool, make sure you hit the reset button. And then it's going to give you all of the partners. So there's a total of 10 partners for the IRS Free File Program that you could potentially use. And then once you figured out which company you exactly want to go through, then you're going to make sure you click view this offer. And make sure you're actually using the link that is included with the IRS website. If you go to these companies' websites independently, you might not be guaranteed that you're going to be able to file your federal taxes and state taxes if they apply for free. You might have to pay for them. So make sure you're using the IRS Free File tool and using the actual links that are provided here to make sure you're not being upcharged or sold something when you should be able to file your taxes completely for free. Now, even if you don't qualify for the IRS Free File Program, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pay your taxes. You could always go the old school option of filing your taxes yourself, which does require a little bit more know-how. Or you can use a company like Free Tax USA, which I've reviewed right here, which allows you to file all of your federal taxes with no stipulations completely for free. All those states do cost extra. Thanks for watching with me today. And please remember, from your first penny to your first million, we're here to help.